Welcome everybody to our last State of the Industry of 2024. Not that we're ending these by any means. We will continue into 2025, but it's always kind of fun to recognize that we have been doing this for a whole another year. So thank you guys for being here and for sticking with us and continuing to plug in and find value in our Experience Brokerage Network. I am joined by my co-hosts today, Chris, our operating principal, Leslie, our general manager, and me, Chief Opportunity Officer of the Experience Brokerage Network. And the reason that we always introduce ourselves is because we always have new faces. Some of you are new to the Experience Brokerage Network, like these 9 new humans who have partnered with us, and some of you aren't with our network. So we love to just tell you who we are and why we're here. We have 4 offices that span the state of Oregon, and we have 16 mega agent offices that are also included in our Experience Brokerage Network. So we are happy that you are all here, and we are honored to be your partners in business. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, so you guys know this is the last month for our 4th quarter takeover, our listing challenge. So I just wanted to give you guys some updated numbers. This is kind of fun. We've almost taken 300 listings in the 4th quarter. So congrats, guys, on taking the market share in the 4th quarter when other people may be slowing down. You're not. You're out there and you're working hard. So I want to recognize all 297 listings and agents who have taken those. Great job. And here are our leaders. So Sophie and Zach out of Southern Oregon are our rookie leaders. This means that this is their first year in real estate. Jeff Yarber continues to crush it as the solo agent listing leader with 8 listings taken. Dennis and Barb Hall, first, welcome to Keller Williams and the Experience Brokerage Network, and already at the top with 5 listings taken as a team, meaning there's 2 producing agents contributing to that listings taken. Dennis and Barb, so happy that you're here, and congrats on already making our leaderboard. And then the Mary Gilbert group with 20 listings taken. That means there's 3 or more agents in that category, in the group category, contributing to that number. But congrats to everybody who's on the leaderboard, and we still have time. So if you're out there taking listings, make sure that you get your paperwork into Command so you get counted in the 4th quarter takeover, and that's how you will make the leaderboard. It's still anybody's game. So continue to submit your paperwork and get out there and take listings. Okay, a couple of other housekeeping things. Just because we're wrapping up the year with SOI doesn't mean that the year is over by any means. Keller Williams is still putting out a ton of value. Tomorrow they're launching, I think it's their 4th annual Tech the Halls, which is a huge day of amazing trainers and presenters. I love that this slide says Central and Eastern time, and we're not Central or Eastern time. So doing a little math here. Oh, it does say on the left-hand side. Starts at 9 a.m., goes to 1 p.m. This will be live streamed in your market center, but if you would like to register yourself, it's free. Go to kdbtechthehalls.com, and you're going to hear from Jason Abrams. You're going to hear from Marty Miller, Ken Kozak, Cody Gibson, Mark Willis, Amanda Dahl, Wendy Pappas. I mean, huge lineup of amazing speakers. And I know it says Tech the Halls, and that means we always think Command. It's not just about Command. It's about marketing. It's about communities and niche businesses. There will be some stuff about Command in there, but tune in because there will be a lot of really good content on database, social media, online leads, operations, all the things. So that's one thing. The other thing is MAPS Coaching every year does free coaching calls at the end of the year. It's their little like Christmas present to the rest of us. So they're doing 17 calls starting on December 16th. So December 16th, 17 different calls. You can, we'll drop the link in the chat, but you can go on their website and sign up for any of these calls. And it's MAPS coaches who are leading this training for free. So if you've got a little bit of downtime or there's a topic that you are interested in launching in your business in 2025, I highly suggest going on here and looking at these topics. It may be something you're interested in. I mean, they even got things on wealth, like buy 20 rental properties in 5 years. They've got things on health, like fit for winning, effective fitness strategies. They've got things on mindsets, on mindset, taking listings, massive action. So there's something for everybody here. And I love that they say feel free to register for one or all. They're all available. You don't have to limit yourself to just one. So great list of calls between now and the end of the year. And then we want to talk about this now, even though February feels a long ways away. 2 reasons. One, they've discounted family reunion tickets. So if you looked at the ticket price a week or two ago and you're like, ooh, not ready for that, they've actually discounted it. So now it's $200 cheaper. And Leslie would also say, if you're a member of KW Wealth, sign up this year and get the tax deduction in 2024 for the trip in 2025. So we want to just put that on your radar. This is our list of people who have already signed up. So we will see this group in Vegas already, but we know that the list is growing. So get signed up, ask us if you have questions about where to stay or when to fly in. The Northwest region has discounts on flights, so we can get you that information as well. But we hope that you guys will come because this is a massive event. And Jamie Kern-Lima is the keynote speaker, which is incredible. We're very excited. Anything else you would add about that, Leslie?
Now, I'm so excited for Family Reunion 2025. 2024 was incredible. It was like return of Family Reunion of like yesteryear. So this one's going to be even bigger and better. So I've talked to a ton of our agents across the network. So I know this is just a small glimpse of the group that is planning on going. So make sure you take advantage of the discount. So get signed up, get registered, get your flights. And if you want rooms in the convention hotel, reach out to your leadership today because we do have some rooms reserved in Mandalay. So let us know so we can get all the plans put together to welcome you to Vegas for an awesome Family Reunion 2025.
And if you have weight loss goals for 2025, go to Family Reunion. I lost weight at Family Reunion last year because there's so much walking. And I say that in the best way possible. So, I mean, bring comfy shoes, but also like you're going to get your exercise in every day. So also another reason to go to Family Reunion. Okay, and then we want to just take a second and say thank you to our power partners from 2024. We've added a lot of new ones this year, so we just wanted to recognize and show you all these companies that we've partnered with, from healthcare to continuing education to database and CRM management to Forewarn, which is a safety tool, to Envoy, our mortgage partners, home warranties, marketing. There's been a lot of companies that have partnered with us this year. So if you haven't seen these names or haven't taken advantage, reach out to your leadership team or to Leslie or I so we can get you connected. A lot of them come with discounts as well if you're searching for a new platform. We also want to just give a special thank you to our two core sponsors, Fidelity Home Warranty and Envoy. You guys know that we did a lot of things this year as far as events go and initiatives, and they wouldn't have been possible without the support of our power partners and our core sponsors. So huge shout out to these two companies that have really wrapped their arms around our brokerage network in 2024. So show them some love as well. Okay. I think that's it for announcements. The reason you guys are all really here is hear from Chris. So Chris, how long should I leave your big face, your big picture on the screen?
You can take it down now. Take it down now.
Chris, thank you for wrapping up the year with us and just telling us where we're at and helping us think about where to go from here.
Very cool. All right, let me, everyone can see my screen. Does that work? Awesome. Okay, so here's what I want to do today. I'm going to spend probably about 30 minutes or so. Oh, I just got an extra long workout because I forgot to stop that this morning. I'm going to spend about, that's awkward, 30 minutes with everybody, and we're gonna talk about what's going on in the market. And I will tell you, that I hope we all leave here super excited and forward thinking about 2025 based on some of the data that we have and what we've seen sort of begin to develop in October and November, and especially here in December, sort of what we expect to see happen with interest rates and home sales and all those things. But I also want us to be able to look for some opportunities, maybe some opportunities missed in 2024 that we don't want to miss in 2025 based on some of our real estate data. Now, this economic data comes to us uniquely because of our partnership with Goldman. So as most of you know, Goldman one of our companies is a portfolio company of Goldman. They invested money in us, and because of that, they provide us with a lot of real estate data, both on the mortgage side because we're in mortgage, on the real estate side because obviously we're in real estate. But some of their sort of their brightest real estate economists sort of come together and put together a monthly report. We look at that almost every single month, and then they put a yearly report together as well. We will get the yearly report probably in next month or so, and we'll do an update to this. But what you're gonna get today and see today are really sort of graphs and charts that I look at monthly. I review with some economists over at Goldman, and then I synthesize it down to what I believe are the most important for us to talk about. As an aside, and we're not going to go deep into this, but we should probably do maybe a whole nother call on this, is we are beginning to see the single family home rental market really loosen up in the country and also in this state. For many years, we saw just an oversupply of multifamily, not single family rentals, but multifamily rentals in many of our markets. And the production and the construction of those units has actually sort of pulled back over the last 12 to 18 months. And we've begun to see single family rental rates continue to go up. Why? Well, some of that is our mortgage rates are semi-unaffordable for many people. So there are more renters. More renters means they're driving up the rental prices. And although it is still more affordable to rent than to buy, which is a problem in our industry for us, that does provide an amazing opportunity for us to be helping our clients and ourselves, but our clients into rental properties. And if it's not a conversation we feel comfortable having, we need to get comfortable having it. If it's not a conversation, we could talk about the tax benefits and the economic benefits and the wealth building properties of real estate ownership. It is probably an unlock for all of us. And we're going to begin to see some of that data delivered, but also just pure statistics of beginning to make single family rentals actually reemerge as an incredible opportunity. And that was a highlight in this month's Goldman report, that in most markets, single family rentals are actually a really, really great way to build wealth. I love that coming from them because it's what we believe, that wealth is built in home ownership. And so whether that's a short-term rental or a long-term rental, hold properties, if every single one of us doesn't have one person closing in December for tax purposes for real estate, then we just didn't have the right conversations in September and October and November and December. We should all be wildly busy every December because we have people that are looking to close a rental property in December by the end of the year so they could do accelerated depreciation on their taxes for the year that they're exiting. Now, some of you are brighter than I, and they don't slam them all into December. They got them in September and October and November. But I was late to that party this year because of a lot of reasons, and I guess reasons are results. And so what I'm sharing with all of you is I think we have a tremendous opportunity every year to make that part of our business plan, to look at our plan for the year. And if our plan is to sell 12 houses or 24 houses or 50 houses or 100 houses, then ask yourself how many of those might be single family rentals for investors that I'm working with, or for past clients that I'm working with, or for family members that I'm working with, or for myself that I'm working with. And we've had other people in our network on. We had Kristen Rader on one time, right? We had multiple people on sharing their strategy to sort of build wealth through single family rentals. But it's a big miss for all of us if we don't have that as part of our business plan for our clients. And what I'm sharing with you is based on a lot of reasons, and we'll talk about a few of them today, a lot of reasons 2025 is going to be the year of the single family rental. I believe it. And by the way, I've looked at a lot of them, both in Vancouver and Southern Oregon and Portland Metro, even in certain parts of the counties that still look really, really great as a single family rental. Now you might say, Chris, it's not cash flowing. I need a lot of cash flow. And the reality is, well, it may not be. But the fact is a $400,000 to a $500,000 home purchase at the current rental rates in most of our markets will still close to cash flow or close to break even. And we're still seeing a 4.5% increase in appreciation on $400,000 to $500,000. So even if you were cash flow negative $100 or $200 a month, and you can make that payment, you are building your wealth 5% a year, 4% a year on a $500,000 asset. It's not a bad day. It's not a bad day and a way to build wealth. So again, it's just an opportunity. It came up in this month's report. I wanted to address it before we get into some real estate activity and economics. So maybe revisit your business plans. All right. Here's their forecast. I'm going to start big, and then we're going to sort of narrow down to some specifics. But every month or so, we look at this forecast. This is Goldman Sachs housing and mortgage forecast. They look at probably a group of about 6 or 7 different economists from all different organizations and companies and third parties and say, okay, what do we see happening? Some of these are actuals, right? Annual data, Q1, Q2, Q3, all real numbers when you look at housing starts, single family housing starts, multifamily housing starts. And then what I want us to look at is this Case-Shiller national house pricing year over year change. You'll see in Q1, 6%, Q2, 5.1%, Q3, we saw a dip, 4.1%. And then Q4, we saw a 4.5% increase or we're trending towards a 4.5% year over year increase in pricing. We'll end the year realistically probably around 4.2%. 4.2, 4.3, 4.4% is what they expect year over year appreciation. And then you look at their expectation on 2025, again at 4.5%, right? 4.4%. So just a good sort of number to have in our mind when we're thinking about working with our investors, or we're thinking about our buyers who just are hung up and they feel like, hey, I think I'm spending $10,000 more than I should have for this house. Or as we see sale fails go from 10% to 15% to 20% to 25% to 30% over the last couple of months. A lot of those sale fails happen because a buyer wants 10 grand in concessions or closing costs or repairs, and a seller is willing to give you 4, and we're arguing over $6,000, and they're out of the market for the next 3, 4, 5, or 6 months, not having bought a house. And so they argued over 6, and they will literally lose $25,000 to $35,000 in equity over that same period of time. So I use this equity gain month over month or yearly to really negotiate a repair addendum. And I did that last night at 6:30 p.m. And we're $15,000 apart on repairs on a $515,000 home, which they got $15,000 off on purchase price to begin with. And here we are. Like, the reality is I will not let that deal fall apart because of my focus on wealth building for that couple. Now, why? Because I believe in the 4.5%, right? I believe it could be another 90 days to 120 days before they find something. And so 120 days lost equity on a home that they love, but they're just not excited about having to do a roof, is inconsequential in the big picture. I know there's details to every deal, but we have to think about holding deals together using data. And so again, I know this is an economic conversation, but you'll see how I only use economics or care about economics to put a deal together, to save a deal, or to help a buyer or a seller in and out of a home. Couple things to keep in mind. A lot of our data is, especially from Case-Shiller, is August. It's August data. We're always a few months behind. We showed a pickup in sequential home price appreciation when adjusting for seasonality. We'll probably look at a graph later if we have time about that. But after June and July, we're annualized, sort of month over month. We saw August sort of seasonally adjust. Part of that, we're expecting a higher pickup in adjustment because of what happened with mortgage rates in May, June, July, August, and September. Now, obviously, we saw a pickup in mortgage rates after that, but some of that August and September data has not been factored in, and they were really good months. They were good months for home price appreciation and actually units as well. So we'll get there. Cool. And if people have questions, I actually don't mind hands raised, and I'll try to get you. Couple things. Here's that home price appreciation. It rose 4% in August, sort of year over year. Looking at, where are we? Home price appreciation, August 2024 versus August 2023. We're right at 4%. We saw that drop, obviously, in 2022. 2023 was an interesting year with a run up and then a drop. And then 2024 hasn't been a lot of great news, but we're beginning to see that trend back up again. And we expect that to continue. So we should be bullish on the market. We should be bullish on home price appreciation. I'm going to show you buyer sentiment in just a minute because they are getting more and more comfortable and bullish on it as well. Here's supply of homes listed. It has increased across the country since January. That is the fact in most of our markets as well. Not all of them. I know we sort of spread a large coverage area, right? We cover parts of Southern Washington, Southwest Washington, all the way down to honestly almost the tip of Southern Oregon. Like some of our markets are really still super, super tight with inventory, but most of us have begun to see homes available pick up finally towards the tail end of 2023 and into 2024. And we're still a great market. We're still under inventoried based on what is a stable market, but good news for our buyers, but also a really good conversation to have with sellers right now in December, in January, to sort of get ahead of that curve of inventory, perhaps in 2025. Pending home sales. Yeah, if you felt this, me too. Me too. We all have. Like, look at that dark blue line. Towards the end of 2024, and again, we're a couple months behind here, but towards the end of 2024, we were pending at the rate of like 3.3 million home sales a year. Like that is like close the doors and get a job at the Sunglass Hut numbers. Like those are really, really dangerous numbers for our industry and home ownership in America. Now we've changed that. Like this data doesn't reflect that, but in November and December, we're back to above 4 million home sales pending a year. But if it felt really rough in the fourth quarter, I'll be honest, like it felt rough to me. It felt rough here at the brokerages. It felt rough with sale fails. It felt rough with like weeks going where we felt like, well, there were some crickets there. Where are all of our pendings? They just weren't happening. You'll see our existing home sales were higher than the pending. So we expect to see a little bit of pullback on that home sales. We may end the year at 4.1, 4.2 million home sales, maybe the lowest number we've seen in some time. And I said, we're going to leave here positive. So this is the home buyer sentiment index. Like this is wildly important for us. We should look at this each month. Like, hey, how are home buyers feeling? Because if home buyers are feeling good, that's good news for our home sellers. And we're seeing sort of a tick up here at the end of the year. A lot of that has to do with sort of movement in mortgage rates and promises of movement in mortgage rates. Some of that has to do with tax benefits potentially in 2025 for home ownership, bringing back some removal of some capital gains for investors. Like we probably will begin to see some policy that is very pro real estate in 2025. And so just keep that sort of relevant and top of mind. But these are some really good numbers. Like look at the last time we were at this home sentiment buyer index. It was back in 2022. And the expectation is we should continue to gain some steam here. That makes me very, very happy. And I actually feel it. I feel it in my calls, right? I've been blocking about an hour a day, calling into the database, right? You know, and the reality is I'm hearing this sentiment as well. So it's not just anecdotal, but it's actually in practice. Now, we won't hear that unless we're calling. And I would encourage everybody, whether you're on Command, whether you're using our Brevity platform, like whatever platform you're on, definitely start with your core advocates and your sphere and your past clients in December. You should be able to get through every single past client If our biggest agents on this call, because I'm talking to them, are getting through every single past client, then our youngest agents on this call should be able to get through every past client or sphere, checking in with them and what their plans are for real estate. If they don't have any, then ask them if they thought about investing in real estate for tax purposes in 2025, and would they be open to setting up a conversation with you about that? Like, the reality is I think what you'll find is once you get through sphere and then you move to your old leads, the sentiment has changed and it has shifted. What is going to continue to drive our market, like our industry? It's household formation. Here's why. Because the more household formation we have, the better off. Like, these are customers. Like, every household, every time a household is formed, and I'll define that in a minute because I see some questioning eyes, that means there's going to be someone that needs to rent a house, buy a house, right? Move into a rental that one of your clients owns. Household formation happens this way. I have a child, and now they're old enough to move out, or you kick them out and then they form a household. Someone gets married and they move out of a roommate's house, and now, I hope, and now they move into their own house or their own apartment with their spouse. Someone gets divorced, and that's a sad way a household was formed, but you have two people living together, and now you have two people living separate, and now a household is formed. So you'll see the light blue line is year over year household formation. Man, we are close to where we were in 2022 in terms of household formation. I don't know that we'll ever get back to 2020 and 2021 in terms of household formation. Like, everybody was forming a household because the economy is good and interest rates were amazing. But the reality is we're beginning to see household formation. It isn't because of teenage kids, and I'm gonna share that in just a minute. But we are beginning to see household formation tick up again. That is great news for us. Be connecting with your sphere and your clients and your database because they are forming households. Share of young adults living with parents actually increased in 2023. Now, why is this? 2024 is not over, and so they don't have the 2024 data. The economists have said they expect that to go down in 2024 rather, but not by much. Why? Because young adults, like, the job market was better, they had income, and so they are forming households, they're renting apartments, and some of them are buying homes as well. And by young adults, let's be real, like, that's I don't know, let's take that. I'm going to take the qualifying young adult is 18 to 34. So young adults is 18 to 34. If you forget it, forget it. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to touch the 34-year-old living in the basement. But share of young adults, we'll see that go up. We'll see that share of young adults forming households in 2024 and probably into 2025 as well. One of my favorites, and again, this is a great conversation for us. So this is real estate equity and stock market holdings in this country, in the trillions. So what do we see? Real estate equity is higher than all stock equity holdings or stock market holdings in this country. We're almost at 36 trillion in real estate equity. It's never been that high. That's amazing. The question is, are they doing anything with it? Have you talked to your Envoy lender about how to unlock some of that equity to buy a rental property or to invest in real estate? Now, some of that is because they've maintained their equity because they love their 2.7% mortgage rate and they haven't used their equity yet to go and buy a bigger house. So I just want us to understand the wealth of the nation, the wealth of the typical American has continued to rise as long as they were homeowners. But I also share this when I'm talking to first-time buyers. And I share with them, gosh, I wish you would have bought it 2021. Because look at the run-up in equity in real estate during that time. The other conversation is this. The stock market has been a lot of people's friends over the last few years and probably will continue to be people's friend over the next couple of years. So what does that mean? People are equity rich in stock. One of the deals that will close this month, 100% of the proceeds of that transaction are coming from liquidation of stock. And so what was that like? It was a conversation. Hey, have you talked about tax loss harvesting over the course of this year, right? Selling stock, harvesting some losses, putting that against taxes, and then using the equity in that stock for real estate. Now, real estate has to be a long-term investment. They're getting 4% appreciation on $500,000. Some people would say, yeah, but I'm getting a 8% appreciation right now in the market, but that is on their money, all of their money. Remember, having a conversation about getting appreciation on someone else's money in real estate is kind of the win to get people excited about investing in real estate. So again, being fluid in that conversation, but knowing that a lot of people in your database have equity in stock that you typically can get them to exit out of and invest in real estate. Maybe it's time for a second home. Maybe it's time for a rental. Maybe it's time for a vacation property. But the reality is there's great equity, both in real estate and in stock. Are you unlocking it? Are you asking them what they're doing with your equity? Some of them are doing nothing with it. Get that equity to work for you and them. This is just year-over-year home price appreciation growth, top markets. Nothing wildly relevant. I mean, Portland's here because it's one of the top 20 cities. We see it's at the bottom of the list for year-over-year home price appreciation, which is interesting at 1%. That is actually a Portland metro number. I have my opinions on why that is. For those of you who operate in the high-end market and the luxury market, that had gone really, really dry for a lot of this year. And so the home price appreciation just wasn't reflected in that higher end market, dragging up or bringing up median and average sales price. So that just is what it is. But I just share this because it has every city or the 20 major markets. All right. Last two economics, then we're going to go through some mortgage, and then we're going to do we're going to have a wrap-up conversation as well. Economic growth. So this is year-over-year change in GDP. We saw that massive peak, which was way too high in 2021. We saw sort of like a lot of policy trying to pull back that GDP growth in 2022, which it did its job. We saw it dip below where we really want it to be. In a perfect world, where are we? Right where we are. In a perfect world, we're at 3.5 to 4% growth in GDP year over year. That's a really, really healthy economy. And so we see this as our sort of trend line from 2007, but right where we really want to be for 2024. Again, just some stability for our economy as buyers are making decisions and sellers are making decisions. And then the last one, this is nominal personal income. This is income that does not have to go to sort of the big three: housing, food. What's the other one? Well, let's just say housing, food, because I forgot the other big thing that we need to spend money on. But this is what's left over, like after we pay for our absolute necessities. We continue to see an increase in disposable income. We're actually getting close to that peak of 2021 of disposable income, right? When the cost of housing was so low, so disposable income went up. Now the cost of housing hasn't dropped, but average income in the country has gone up, and it's kept up. I know not for everybody, and I'm generalizing here, but it has kept up with sort of the increases in expenses. And so we see just this trend line of personal income, nominal personal income going up, which means that a lot of renters in this country could be buyers. Fair? A lot of renters have nominal personal income that they're probably spending on Cheetos and movies instead of spending on a mortgage. So what are they doing with their nominal personal income? Our goal is to get them to invest in real estate with it. Before we move to mortgage and debt, any questions about that, or feedback from that, or takeaways from that, or thoughts about how you will use it with your buyers and sellers and investors? Awesome. I'll just keep going. Yeah, no questions. Okay. Mortgage and debt. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on. Health of the mortgage market, the share of loans in foreclosure, next to nothing, right? Again, we know what the market looks like when that gets up above, 1.5%. Understand historically, we're good with 1 to 1.5% of our loans. Not good, but it's still healthy if 1 or 1.5% of our loans are in foreclosure in this country. We are less than 0.5% of loans. It is, which means lenders wake up, banks wake up and say, hey, we probably could be a little bit more aggressive. It serves them well. It serves them well to loan money, right? When they loan money, that is a good thing for them. A lot of banks got really, really nervous about loaning money. And we felt that, and we experienced that, and our buyers felt that, right? The buyer pool that could get approved was smaller. But when we see this number, know that what follows next, or what ensues, is bank lending standards begin to loosen. So you'll begin to see this, right? 2024, almost all of 2024, there was a consistent loosening of standards. Now people are like, oh gosh, like that makes me nervous. We know what happened last time. That is not what we're talking about. We are talking about, in fact, I think I may have a graph here that shows the average FICO score of a conventional and an FHA borrower. Like, they're very, very well qualified buyers. In fact, some would say maybe overly qualified. There are some people that aren't getting qualified for conventional financing that maybe should, or as we begin to see it continue to lessen, the standards lessen or loosen, they will begin to qualify. So what does that mean? We all have lots of people in our databases that probably were told no, or probably were told. I met 2 people in the last 2 weeks that said, well, I'm just, I know we connected 6 months ago, we connected 12 months ago, I connected 18 months ago, and I'm just saving for my down payment. How much money do you have saved? Well, I have $70,000. But last time I talked to a lender, I needed 90. So I just need 20 more. The reality is that is loosened. Like, no one has said, hey, buddy, you can buy now. And in fact, that's on us, because he could have bought a year ago when prices on that same house were $23,000, $24,000 lower. So again, it is our obligation to make sure that we're communicating with everybody in our database that, hey, lending standards have loosened. You may want to re-engage with a lender. Can I connect you with one to see what is your down payment need to be? Like, what are the current interest rates? What would your monthly payment be? What is your credit score today? Is it good enough today when perhaps before it wasn't? It is loosened consistently through 2024. And then you'll see this is just another graph showing that. Continuing financial conditions loosening throughout the country. So good data to know. And again, it sort of prompts a phone call into the database. Here's jumbo mortgage availability as well. You'll look at this, and we've seen an increase of availability in jumbo mortgages. One of the big reasons why sort of that higher end market got really, really tight, it was tougher to get a jumbo. It was more expensive to get a jumbo. I was looking at a chart earlier today. I don't know or yesterday, I don't know that I added it, but the cost of jumbo versus conforming is almost not even a difference anymore. It is so close. And we used to historically see this big difference. But again, that is the mortgage market. That is the policy saying, hey, we want people to be investing and buying luxury real estate if they qualify. Let's make that more affordable. So the credit availability for jumbo mortgage has gotten better and better and better. Now, we see conventional mortgage is still much better than jumbo, but the pricing on jumbo in terms of qualifying, but the pricing on jumbo looks pretty darn good right now. So again, even some of our cash buyers may opt not to pay cash, or may diversify that cash into multiple real estate assets if we have that conversation with them. HELOC debt increased by 12% year over year. Now, sometimes we look at that and say, "Ooh, that makes me nervous." Right? We're seeing like home equity lines of credit go up, but remember, oftentimes that is put back into the house because they're preparing it, they're fixing it. Sometimes home equity lines of credit are then used even as a down payment for another piece of real estate. So that debt has gone up, yes. And so if debt was going up and equity was going down across the board, I would be more concerned. But we already saw equity continues to go up in real estate, even while HELOC debt increased by 12% year over year. Fair? Which leads me to this. So don't get nervous about that HELOC debt, because household debt to income ratios actually declined, right? Debt to income ratios actually declined. So again, that's been spurred by increased income and not taking on a lot of extra debt outside of some HELOCs, but like credit card debt has remained stable, car debt has remained stable, a lot of debt has remained stable. Now, some people would say we need that to go up. We need Americans to start spending and borrowing again. And I would say, well, then fine, like we need our interest rates to come down, because a lot of people don't want to spend and borrow with current interest rates. And I mean sort of consumer spending on interest rates, on credit card rates and car loan rates, et cetera. But household debt to income ratio declined in 2023, Q4, and that has actually continued to decline in 2024 as well. So again, really solid economic data for us as we enter 2025. We talked about foreclosure. This is different. This is, well, what percentage of our mortgages have negative equity, which means if I had to sell today, I wouldn't actually be able to get what I paid for it, right? Or I wouldn't be able to pay off my mortgage. Let me requalify that. 1.7% of mortgage properties have negative equity, right? Meaning that it is worth less than what is owed. That's normal. In fact, look at that. Like we are super stable since 2022. It bumped up in 23. It's come down in 24. But historically, again, if you're anywhere between 2, 3, 4% of mortgage properties having negative equity, you're not going to see some mass issue with foreclosures or delinquencies or non-payments or short sales. Now, remember, just because a home has negative equity doesn't even mean it's going to be short sold. I sold a property in fact, it was both sides were done by an agent in this network. Andrea Guest represented a buyer on one of our listings, and that home had negative equity. They bought at the peak, not with us, and they spent way more than they should have on the home. A life change happened, and they sold it for $45,000 less than what they paid for it a few years ago. Now they had equity. They also had cash. They also had stock. See, the wealth of the homeowner is in a much better position or place than it was a few years ago as well. So keep that in mind. Negative equity shouldn't make us nervous unless it was negative equity, incomes are down, unemployment's up, GDP is low, like all these other factors that cause sort of economic stress. And last graph I'm going to share, and then we'll sort of have a big picture conversation, is this serious delinquency rates, through Q2. Interestingly enough, there is one area that delinquency rates have gone up as opposed to gone down. In our world, it's gone down, right? Mortgage and HELOC delinquency rates, it has gone down. It's hovering next to nothing. It's the people that are buying cars and swiping a bunch of credit cards that their delinquency rate is a little higher. And so it's something to watch, but welcome to America. Somehow this country just believed that we need fancy cars and big credit card bills. So we've seen delinquency rates go up or tick up a little bit for both of those. Now, if credit card continues to go up, that also might indicate that people might have lots of disposable income, but they keep on disposing of it and not paying their bills. And that's a concern. So we'll watch that. I would say that's my one area of concern in the economics of this country. But I don't know that I'm going to solve America's problem with credit. Okay, so let's take a break. and sort of do this sort of big picture wrap up. I would do this. These graphs are going to be sent out later today or tomorrow, whenever the team gets to it, probably today, because they're just so quick. What I would do is not try to focus on all of them, but I would try to focus on a graph or two for each client type. I want a graph or two for sellers, right? Looking at home buyer sentiment, that's a good one. Looking at inventory, that's a good one. Why? To motivate them to move. Like, hey, home buyer sentiment is really, really good. Inventory is ticking up. What's going to be the one thing that might hold your price down? It could be more inventory. So if inventory is probably lower than it's going to be today for the next 6-7 months, and buyer sentiment is good, even in December and January, why would you not be on the market today? I would use those two graphs. For buyers, I would find 1 or 2 graphs. For investors, I would find 1 or 2 graphs. And I would go through the database looking for that client type and then offering an item of value. Why? Because sometimes you have your phone number, their phone number, but you really want their email address. Offer to email them a graph. Sometimes you have an email address and you want their phone number. Send them the graph and ask them to give you a call about how this could affect the value of their home, or why this should motivate to potentially invest in a few properties that you have coming up that could be good investments. Like, we got to use these. We have to, we have to use these graphs and this data for movement to become better salespeople. Some of us are super relational, and you have built your entire business that way. Continue to. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Continue to do that. But now layer in to your relationship validation to use you based on the relationship because of your understanding of the market. Our group should be the most informed, educated consultants in the industry. I believe that. Agents at our company should. We have everything to do that with. I will tell you, it has been the secret to our team's success. It's understanding this and being able to communicate it at a high level. And it's why probably this year more than any other year, most of the time I've spent together with the network has been all numbers. Cool? So now let me talk to you about something other than numbers. I want to share something that I actually shared, just privately with my team this week. And it's something that I came across that I read earlier this week, and I shared it with them, and I thought, gosh, I really want to share it with everybody. And I'm gonna read a couple sentences, and I want it to sort of sink in. This is what I shared. Stop trying to be spectacular and start being consistent. Now, what does that mean? Oftentimes, we show up in our business with energy today and without energy tomorrow, and with energy on Friday and without energy on Tuesday. Your reputation in this industry, and thus your business in this industry, is not built on your best day. It is built on your worst day. Warren Buffett's fortune was built on not phenomenal decisions, truly, right? The best day. His fortune was built on avoiding losses. His fortune was just built on being consistent day in and day out. You may or may not agree with this, so I don't actually have an opinion, so I don't care. But Tom Brady, right? He became the greatest of all time because not of his highlight reel, but rather because he really made very few bad plays. Right? Other people throw better, throw faster, are more accurate, but he just makes fewer mistakes. He is is he still playing? He's not. The most consistent. That's how much I know. The most consistent. So anybody, I want us to think about this. Anybody can occasionally go to the gym. Anybody can occasionally eat healthy. Anybody can occasionally have what we end the day think, man, I was super productive. This was such a good day. Doing it once in a while is common and doesn't mean a whole lot, as much as we want it to mean. It just doesn't. Not in the grand scheme of a 1-year real estate market. Moments will not make legends, right? Consistency does. And the hardest consistency isn't in doing brilliant things and having an amazing day on the phone or just crushing that listing appointment. It's not. It's just avoiding the stupid decisions we make, like not doing anything today, or getting distracted because there was one little fire, or just not feeling it, or not keeping your rhythm of doing the open this weekend because you just don't feel like it. Every mistake puts you in hard mode, forcing us to make up lost ground later. Anybody can do something once. The outliers do it often and consistently. I want us to think about that in 2025, going into 2025, as we think about our business plan and our perfect week. Is this something we can do consistently? If it's not, stop. Redo your business plan. If it's not, if you need to have incredible days, to execute on that plan, it's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you, I have very few incredible days. I have a lot of solid average days without, hey, I'm not a host, so I can't people, Leslie, but I have a lot of average days that just lead to consistency. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Did I knock out my one? I told you guys, I spent about an hour. Right now, I'm an hour a day in the dot. That's not going to set anybody's world on fire, but I will tell you, it leads to a wildly consistent business. So that's the first thing I want to share. Second thing I want to share. Second thing is this. Stop fighting your nature and start winning with it. A lot of us have certain nature. We have certain characteristics. We have certain personality traits. And we think we have to change our personality trait to win in this industry. You do not. You think, well, gosh, I'm kind of reserved and quiet, but I got to be like a hard pounding person on the phone. No, you don't. I never was. I'm not telling you to not be on the phone, but I'm telling you to understand your own nature and win with your own nature. You were born with certain core traits that you will get better and better and better at that. Fighting those traits is like being a sprinter, right? You're just a good sprinter. But now I'm telling you, go run a marathon. That's stupid. You're not a marathon runner today. Now, if you want to be, I promise you could be. If you want to be great on the phones, I promise you could be. If you want to be good with relationships, I promise you could be. But why force that if you do not really want to be? It's exhausting and futile. I'm speaking from experience. But these limitations that we feel like, well, but I'm just too reserved, or I'm just too social, so I don't know, I can't understand that data, I'm not good with that. Focusing on your limitations, right, can be a problem, but actually using those limitations can be an advantage. Your instincts, your personality, your preferences aren't flaws, they are features. We need to understand what part of this business can I win with the features that I have, with the skill set that I have. Let me give you 2 examples. Introverts. Any introverts here? It's kind of an interesting thing for me to ask in a room full of real estate agents, but I promise you there are some. There are some. Naturally, I am more introverted than extroverted. Promise. Here's the introvert's edge in sales. I don't fake extrovert energy real well. If I'm excited about something, you'll feel it. Like I'm excited about data. I'm excited about being here. Like this isn't fake extrovert energy. This is just me. But I can't do this all day. But I will win through deep research and lasting relationships. I mean it. I can win there. That is my introvert's edge. While others work the room and they get lots of deals from lots of people, like I will build long-term lasting relationships and build a business slowly over 26 years later. Like that is my introvert's edge. I'm not going to try to be someone I'm not. So I had to find a portion of this business that I could be me, that I could find people one-on-one if they walk into an open. Like I still don't love it when 7 people are in my open house. Now it feels like a party. But if one person comes, I'm super glad. That's why I've always said I need 2 people. I need 2 people. Give me 30 minutes, 40 minutes with 2 different people. That's a 2-hour open. Call it good. I'm happy. That's an introvert's edge. Now, if you're the extrovert, like create environments where you're networking and meeting lots of people, because that is your edge. It's just not mine. How about those that are obsessive with details? I know a few of you that to some would say, gosh, you're never going to make it. You got to get over it. And to some, you got to get over it. However, use that to your advantage. While other people skim the surface of stuff, your thoroughness will spot opportunities that other people avoid. While what other people see as obsessiveness becomes an uncopyable competitive advantage. Now, you'll notice I chose two things that some people would say, Chris, those are your biggest weaknesses. It's your introversion and your obsessive compulsiveness. But I have used those disadvantages as wild advantages in business. The most successful people do not fight their nature. They architect an environment and a business plan around it to amplify it. So stop asking, how do I fix myself? And start asking, how do I position myself where my natural traits are assets? So my two sort of pieces of advice on our last sort of, state of the industry is one, understand where the market is, right? I guess I'm going to give you three. The first half of this message or day to day was like, dude, understand the market. By the way, everybody should now take that sort of big picture market and now go to your local market action report. I can't go through every one of ours, but you should know that. You should pull some data from it. You should know your local market. But outside of that, I want you to stop being spectacular and just start being consistent. Build a day that you could repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. 4 days a week, 5 days a week. Heck, even if it was 3 days a week and you did that consistently, you'd still be winning more than we're winning. And the second is stop fighting your nature, understand what you're good at and what your core strengths are, and find the place in this industry, in this business that will serve you well by optimizing that. And I promise, regardless of who we are, what type of person we are, how we show up in the world, you can win in this industry with any personality trait. Cool? That's what I got for us today.
Well, that was a lot, and thank you. What I heard was there's plenty of reasons to reach out to your database. So use the data to be consistent in reaching out to your people in the way that's natural for you. Is that a good way to put it all in one sentence?
Love it. Yeah. See, I should have just had Katie run that whole thing. She would have said one sentence, we would have out, and we would have been calling our databases for the last 45 minutes.
Yeah, we could have spent the rest of the time. No. Thank you for pouring into us today. Thank you everybody for being here today. We will see you again in January. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. We'll see you all later. Bye everyone.
Thanks all.
In 2025.